Hello everyone. I would like to welcome you to our talk today on our paper titled On the Cross-Modal Transfer from Natural Language to Code Through Adaptive Modules. I would like to thank my collaborators on this project, Ramanj Grover and Fatemeh Ajfard. I would also like to thank the organizers of ICPC 2022, along with everyone else involved in making this conference happen online, given the pandemic. Machine-aided software engineering involves the implementation of computer-facilitated tools and methods for high-quality and defect-free software development, and more importantly, the ease of software development. State-of-the-art tools in this direction are increasingly based on some form of machine learning techniques, with applications in code auto-completion and synthesis, code search, program analysis, etc. Machine learning techniques used here utilize some modified variants of the transformer architecture depending on the applications. These models are trained on large volumes of data parsed from GitHub repositories, which is then pre-processed and flattened as text before being fed into the transformer model. The models are then trained on an MLM or an RTD objective. Some of the challenges to building effective models involve effective cross-modal transfer from natural language to programming languages. Additionally, the current methods are time and resource intensive, requiring access to multiple high-end GPUs for long hours for the pre-training processes, a resource which is not readily available to most researchers today. Furthermore, the models need to be fine-tuned separately for each downstream task, which leads to a very large memory overhead when designing applications with multiple use cases. Integrating the trained models with an IDE also continues to remain a challenge. A possible solution arises in the form of adapter modules, which are used in NLP and computer vision. Adapters are small parameter-efficient bottleneck layers, which are added to a model trained on a source domain to enable its adaptation to a target domain. They present advantages such as a non-destructive transfer, parameter efficiency, and ease of construction, and also exhibit lower training costs and faster inference performances. We study adapters in the context of software engineering. We do so by the means of adding language adapters to each layer of a base transformer model trained on natural language. And these language adapters are then trained on a huge code corpus using the MLM objective. After the pre-training process is carried out, task adapters are stacked on top of the language adapters and are then fine-tuned on an annotated corpus for a downstream task. Invertible adapters are used in conjunction with language adapters, and they've been introduced to tackle the large computational overhead associated with adapting the model's vocabulary from a source domain to a target domain. The entire setup after a sequential addition of all the task and language adapters is termed as MODEX and is shown on the right. For our study, the base transformer model is Roberta. Language adapters are added to each layer of Roberta and then trained on an MLM objective on this huge code corpus. We then test the representation learning capabilities of the language adapters using a closed-style test open source with Codex Glue. We then add task adapters on top of the language adapters and fine-tune them on the downstream task of code clone detection. Our first research question is how do adapters perform in representing code when adapting pre-trained language models trained on natural language to programming languages. The key result is that the quality of source code representations learned by language adapters is in fact comparable to that of CodeBird. We trained the language adapters on two datasets, one from Project CodeNet and the other from CodeSearchNet. This has mainly been done to evaluate whether the type and quality of the dataset would influence the kind of representations learned by the language adapters, which we do find to be the case, as the CodeNet adapters learn better semantic information than they do syntactic, whereas the CodeSearchNet adapters do the vice versa. Our second research question is how well does MODEX facilitate cross-modal transfer to downstream tasks compared to the full fine-tuning methodologies? And the key result here is that MODEX performs at par with the fully fine-tuned CodeBird model and outperforms the fully fine-tuned Roberta model. It is important to note that when used for downstream tasks, the authors use CodeBird, which has been pre-trained on MLM and the RTD objective. Since the adapters are only pre-trained on the MLM objective, we think that a better way to evaluate them against CodeBird would be against the CodeBird MLM model. in which case we find that our adapters are able to outperform the CodeBird MLM model for the Java use case. The third research question is how computationally efficient are these adapter modules in achieving the results that have been discussed earlier. We find that adapters are nearly 60 to 140 times more parameter efficient, while exhibiting considerable improvements in memory overhead and training and inference times in comparison to the fully fine-tuned approaches. Based solely on memory, ModeX provides an overhead of 6.62% for each downstream task, whereas CodeBird leads to an overhead of 100% for each downstream task, which is a major improvement on our part. Furthermore, pre-training these language adapters requires 35 hours on a single V100 GPU, which is in contrast to 384 hours on 16 interconnected V100 GPUs required by CodeBird, a considerable improvement again. I'll end this talk by discussing some practical significance of the adapters. Adapters train faster than the traditional full fine-tuning pipeline while maintaining comparative performance to the same pipeline. Additionally, the computational efficiency of the adapters, especially in terms of the memory overhead, combined with their downstream performance, lends ModeX as the ideal candidate to be integrated into an IDE. Additionally, the non-destructive transfer characteristics exhibited by adapters encourage the stacking of adapters to learn task-agnostic representations when fine-tuning on multiple downstream tasks. And adapters also show impressive performance in the zero-shot setup on unseen programming languages. Thank you for your time.